Johnson, American Terror. Anytime these people get together, I'm gonna go ahead. I know Andrew Johnson, American Terrorist, had a couple J6 related questions. I'm gonna bring him up. Let's see what he's got to say.
Real quick, American, full disclosure. I've been denying him the mic, right? Because before we started the space, we kind of cleaned the carpet, right? We cleaned the carpet. We've got freshly cleaned carpets, and he needs to respect the carpet.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Let's see what he's got to say. All right, let's see. Well, sorry about that. I muted everybody. You're gonna have to unmute yourself. They put that mute everyone button right next to the mic. What's up, Andrew Johnson? What's going on, man?
Hey, Eric blanked out there. What did he say about before we started the space?
We shampooed the rugs. We shampooed the rugs before we started the space. So please don't come in here pissing on them with a bunch of distractions. By the way, you still haven't posted that footage. You keep telling everybody else to post it, but it's your fucking footage, dude.
Dude, why are you being a little girl, man? So listen, Gina said she went to the Diddy party in '96. I just texted her that and asked her in Miami. I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Yeah,
So,
Still a Diddy
interesting
party.
enough, though, I was talking to somebody else, and I don't know 100% on the dates, but Diddy didn't actually own that house on, it's called Star Island, I think it is. He didn't own that house until the 2000, till mid 2000s, I think it was.
I wonder if that was the house that Bieber spent the night in Miami. All right,
What does it matter?
shut up, Marty.
Yeah,
All
what
right,
does it
American
matter? She
Summer.
went to Diddy
Hey,
parties.
I'm
Are
not
you
coming in here
saying
to
that's
argue with
okay?
you. I'm not coming in here to argue with you. I don't even want to talk to you. I want to ask
Well,
American
then
Summer.
don't throw something out there that
I
we
want
can
to ask American
verify.
Summer a few questions, dude. I don't want to talk to you.
Nobody cares what you want.
American Summer obviously does. He gave me a mic.
Well, if you're gonna say she went in the 1990 in the middle 1990s, when we can show that Diddy didn't even own the place until 2003, and you don't want to hear that, well, we really don't care that you want to hear
I'm
it.
not sticking up for her. I'm
What's
telling
your
you what he
point of
texted
saying it?
back
It
to
was
me.
a long time ago.
I
It was a
can't,
long
dude. I
time
can't
ago that
take
she
this
went to a
serious.
Diddy party, so she's
Hey,
been.
I
American,
can't take
let
this
me
serious.
ask you, do you think most people would go to a Diddy party, whether it's in the 90s or 2000s or 225? No, they wouldn't because he's the scum of the earth.
Wait, are you guys acting like I'm like defending her or something?
No, I'm
No,
simply saying don't pretend like Diddy was good at any point because he was not.
Who's pretending that? I'm just saying that's what she said when she went.
All right, we got it. Yeah, and I think Marty's point about it doesn't really matter what date, but what's up, man? What do you got?
So,
Let's.
I know me and you talked about this like I don't know a year or two ago. About I'm just wondering the people in here, do they know what your work used to be?
I do.
You're going right at it. I've actually talked about this on Spaces a lot. I mean, it's not as like scintillating as you might be suggesting. So yeah, I did work as in cybersecurity in DC, probably for about 4 years. I think it was 2011 to 2014, 2015, and I worked for a cybersecurity company. Basically, was a system admin, programmer, and just kind of a computer guy.
Yeah.
My job was basically to set up log file analysis systems. I'm a Splunk certified architect, and I would basically develop apps that Splunk is a system where you pipe log files from the tons of different sources. It combines them, and you can create visual interfaces to sort of create alertings. Like if a system goes down, you'll get an alert, stuff like that. Now, what I think you're getting at is that the CIA director's son, an ex-CIA director's son, was actually my manager for a short period while I worked there. Now, it didn't mean much because one of the things is that I found interesting about that job is that a lot of the people that when I first started working there, like I come from like a rural place. I mean, I played music before I worked there and I developed websites, but I have a connection that got me a job there. And I thought when I got there, I was intimidated. All these people are very smart. Well, even my manager, it turns out, he was what's the name? Wolsey. I think it's James is it James Wolsey? I think Mary
James
might.
Woolsey, yeah.
Yeah, James Wolsey. It was
Yeah,
his
James
son.
Wilson
Yeah, his son was my manager for a short while.
worked with
So
Flynn.
Green Zone
He
Solutions.
works with Flynn.
James
Yeah.
Woolsey worked closely with Flynn. He was part of Flynn's FARA violations, whether it was Kabuki Theater or what. But there was more to it because some of the people that were involved, I'll put the piece up. I'll go back to Woolsey. They weren't whistleblowers. They weren't being attacked. They were part of the Woolsey team.
Hang on, we
They
got a
were in
connect.
business
We got a
together.
connection from American Summer to Flynn.
They were in business together at Green Zone Systems. They were also in the Institute of World Politics, ran by Jim Penrose, the ex NSA analyst.
Okay. So have any of you asked
So,
American Summer about his connection to Flynn?
in short, he
hold
just
on.
he
I
just
mean, that
he
don't
just
even make
told us,
sense.
Andrew, and in summary, yes, we already knew. As you can hear, everybody on this panel has,
Okay.
like, except me, I'm learning a lot, has a pretty in-depth knowledge as to what Jesse's talking about here. That right, they seem to know. They seem to know and don't hold it against him.
Well, that's
I've
why
known for
that's
quite some time. All right, I've known for
and
quite some
and
time
I
because
think a
he's
lot of
one of the few people I talked to about January 6th and get involved with kind of these crowdsourced investigations because he's honest with me personally from the beginning up front. Unlike you, right? You didn't bother to mention that you were pissing on the carpet in the Capitol building
I told you that years
until
ago.
sometime in. Yeah, not really.
Well, let me ask you a question. So you're insinuating something, but what is it that Jesse is putting out um, that insinuates that he's part of an operation like you're trying to imply?
I'm just saying, did you ask him any questions about it, Marty?
Well, if I hear him say something that doesn't fit the truth that I witnessed and that I know, but you're trying to imply that we shouldn't listen to what he's talking about that I've come to independently that it was an operation. So why are you saying that James Woolsey wants to expose the J6 operation that was run by Flynn and Ivan Ranklin and
No,
Patrick Byrne and the rest of the gang?
no. What I'm saying is, if I worked with somebody that worked with Flynn, you would draw that as a dot connection.
Well, yeah, but the inference would be since Jesse is exposing all the shenanigans that was
Uh-huh.
at January 6th, are you saying that James Woolsey, that he's working for James Woolsey and James Woolsey is exposing the shenanigans that happened at January 6th?
I'm not saying nothing.
let me ask you
Well,
let me ask you a question, Andrew. I get the question, and you know me more than anyone here that you know that I've told you this openly, privately, and just for
I
the
know.
record,
That's why I
when
asked you up front. Is it okay?
well, when it here, just for the record, when you first brought this up on your space, you didn't tell me you were going to bring it up, and you said, "Why don't you tell the room how you work for the CIA?" And you know that I'll talk about it because it's nothing, okay? And I understand how like the conspiracies run wild, and that's the way I presented it, is that like, look, I get it because and dude, I have more than that would make you think even bigger things about me.
Yep.
One is that I did Splunk work for a guy that has a orphan secure. It was a human trafficking type
Oh
app,
my God.
and that was but it's not, oh my god, bro. It was literally like a 2-week project where I inputted log files and created a dashboard.
All right,
It's
but
literally that's all it was.
you do see the
But hold on,
double-edged
hold on,
sword here.
hold on. There is no double-edged sword, but I want to add there's a double-edged sword for you, and this is what I want to ask you. You come in here and ask me these questions on my
Yeah.
space, but the problem I have, and that I've told you many times, is that you don't ask these questions to the people that I've been reporting on
How
ever.
do
Like
you know I
you
don't?
don't ask these questions.
How do you know I
Well,
don't?
you don't do it
Because he's
you
he's
don't
just
do
here
it
to
publicly.
Jesse, calm down. He's just here to piss on the carpet. That's why we give him a mic, dude. a distraction. He's
Yeah,
here to piss on
listen,
the carpet.
I don't think American Summer is some.
Listen, I'll explain it. I'll explain it in like crayons, right? Like, so
I'm
my dad,
busting
he
the
went to an
dude's
NRA
balls, dude.
convention.
To relax.
My pops, he went to an NRA convention, and he got himself a picture with Chuck Norris, right? Now, as a kid, I thought that was a connection. It was a dot, right? I thought it meant my dad knew kung fu, but really, he just paid $50 for a picture with Chuck Norris.
Mm.
It was actually pretty simple, pretty innocent. Um,
But
like, I have
see,
a
see how
dot.
you can
You can
apply
connect me to
that.
Flynn. See, you can connect me to Flynn. I have a dot that you can connect
But
to
can't
Flynn because
you?
6 months, listen, 6 months before Mike Flynn said that Q is bullshit, I went click the link that he put out on Twitter and bought a hat and a hoodie that said "Where we go when we go all" on it. And so I've donated money to Mike Flynn. So there's a dot for you there too.
No, I'm not trying to connect
Yeah,
dots. I don't think either of you are part of a network. I'm literally ball busting American Summer. But what I'm trying to
Well, yeah, but you
Yeah,
are
you're
implying
pissing
that.
on my carpet. You're pissing on my carpet, and I don't
listen,
appreciate it.
what I'm
Fuck
what
off.
I'm what I'm trying to insinuate is that we
I think Eric got sick of the pissing on the carpet.
I wanted to ask him: is he implying that Flynn's a bad guy and somehow Jesse's a bad guy because he worked for someone that is loosely connected to Flynn? I'm trying. Other than pissing on the carpet, it was like, what's he trying to imply? Now, when you get in and you ask Andrew questions about his behavior or Bizignano's or any of these actors that were there with megaphones or Trennis Evans, you'll get some really strange answers out of them. Clearly, Andrew Johnson was one of the actors. He's with his hands out everywhere he can get money from anybody. He's bought and paid for, and he's just coming in here and playing, like Eric said, he's pissing on the carpet. And if he wants to disagree with anything that happened or that's being reported here, he'll never do that. It's just this kind of nonsense, and that's his little shtick. And we'll probably see more of that now that the other space is shut down. They'll be pouring in here, and we'll get the clown show coming in. So, like we said, we're beyond this. Let's get past that. Let's get to the Roger Stones and the Mike Flynns who don't come out and speak for themselves, or the Ann Vandersteels. Let's get them in this space to answer questions of like, hey, Ann, finally admit that you went into the Capitol. We see you on recording. We see you passing out press passes from